What's up, Commanders? Dimebot here. Welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today marks a new era. The pre-built, or as they've been called, pay-to-win ships are here. You're going to be seeing the Python Mark II Stellar right now. That's the ship we're taking a look at today. This is 33,000 arcs. Includes a high-spec Python Mark II combat build, Venom Claret paint job, Strike ship kit, and Python Mark II shipyard unlock. So let's have a look at this thing and see, really, what it's all about. Now, they have built these pre-built ships as a way for people to jumpstart a career of their chosen choice. So we're going to go through the hard points, the internals, the optionals. So if that's all a little too dry for you and you just want to see how it does in combat and hear some thoughts, skip on ahead. I don't mind. I know that this is not the most riveting section here. So we've got 3 Class 3 multi-cannons. They're 3Cs. They are gimbaled. Excuse me, 4. And we've got 2 Class 2 pulse lasers, also gimbaled. So this thing has a good bit more kinetic damage than it does thermal damage. So might be a little tough to get through shields on some of the bigger ships out there. Let's take a look at our utility mounts. Heat sink launcher and a bunch of shield boosters. This is basically what I would expect. Kill warrant scanners, not really that big of a deal these days. So yeah, shield boosters and a heat sink launcher. Core internals. Well, we've got some lightweight alloy, so you're getting the hull boost, but you are trading off kinetic and explosive resistance there. And I will cycle the bottom there so you guys can actually see some of the stats. Power plant, we're looking at a 6A, so you're looking at 25.2 megawatts. So this thing deployed is drawn 25.17, so they've got it right on the ragged edge there. Thrusters are 6A, which is fine for a ship this big. Could use some engineering, but this is just what comes on it. Frame shift drive, and this is a Super Cruise optimized, so you get a overcharge, 95% speed increase. Life support, it is what it is. Power distributor, here is the big one. So this is just a straight up power distributor, 6A. Weapons capacity is 50 megawatts, 35 and 35 for engines and systems respectively. 5.2 per second to the weapons, 3.2 to the systems and engines. So not a terrible recharge rate. Those type 2 lasers or class 2 lasers, they're not going to be super power hungry just because they're class 2s. Sensors, 5D, and it is what it is. Fuel tank, it is what it is. Optional internals, bi-weave shield generator. Now, I'm not going to get into the shield debate. I don't usually run bi-weaves, but should be fine on a ship this size. And to cycle us back over down there at the bottom, you'll see that this thing has 699.8 shields with a 3.2 per second regen when standard and 8.2 when they're broken. You can see your resistances. Armor, 1024. Armor rating is 70. Again, you can see your resistances down there. So the whole reinforcement package, that is a 4D. Cargo rack, sure, whatever. Hull reinforcement class 2, module reinforcement class 1 to protect your internals, repair limpet controller, and advanced planetary approach suite. There are 2 things here that I will note. 1, the repair limpets are practically useless. You're not going to be able to use them in combat to repair yourself, and if you try and get away, you're probably going to get run down and blown up. So this is a no, and there's no fuel scoop on this thing. So it has a pretty paltry, and of course that's coming from somebody who flies exploration ships all the time, has a pretty paltry little jump range. I believe it is somewhere around 19 light years. And no fuel scoop. So not exactly the best in the world here. It's not a terrible build. It's not the best build I've seen in the world. Here, there it is. 19.09 is the current. Minimum is 18. 19.41 max. It's not awful. It's not great. I have a few thoughts on how this thing is probably going to handle. I wonder if it's going to have the booster fall off, the stall, as it were, that the FDL has. That's one thing I hate about the Fer-de-Lance. But let's go ahead and get this thing into space. There's some resource extraction zones pretty near to this port. and we will go have a look and see how this thing flies and what it is like in combat. So through the magic of editing, I will transport us there, and you guys won't have to sit through the travel time. Alright, guys, here we are in the resource extraction zone, and just a couple thoughts as I look for a target here. The ship has a pretty decent roll, pretty okay pitch. It does indeed seem to suffer from a little bit of that kind of hiccup, I guess you could say, that you get where your boost runs out and it just kind of stalls for a second. Let's go ahead and see what's going on over here now. Following internal security around is always a great way to find some targets. And this is an anaconda this guy's probably wanted, judging from the amount of fire he's taking as well. So, I have a look here now. I commented earlier that I think this thing might have a hard time dealing with the shields on bigger ships. What is this over here? Oh, it's a Taipan. Oh, how funny. Anyways, let's deal with this anaconda real quick and just see. Shields are holding up pretty well. Now, we're not going to get, one-to-one on how this thing does against the shields because we do have System Authority in the fight with us. There is a little bit of an odd spot here to get everything to connect because all the hard points are on top of the hull. Something to just keep in mind. And that reload is absolutely brutal. So there go our shields. Decent amount of damage taken. We'll see how the hull holds up. Now, those multi-cannons do some work on hulls. Like I said, it is a little bit of a trick to get them all to line up because of placement. Nothing too crazy. And I did have everything into weapons right there, so I really wasn't paying attention to my shields that well anyways. Again, not terrible. Not the greatest. That was a pretty interesting test right there. See if we can find something a little smaller and maybe pick on it and see how this thing does. Right, here we go. We've got a gunship, so this is a hull tank. Let's go ahead and see how this does. Not too bad. So, a couple caveats here, guys. We are flying with internal security, so unless I go into a Haz-Res, which there's not one of those up right now, it's a little harder to get a feel for exactly how this thing is doing. But I've done a lot of bounty hunting in my time, and I will say that the ship feels okay. It feels better than trying to go dogfighting in a Cobra Mark III that you've just bought, but it doesn't obviously feel as powerful as, say, a Federal Corvette that you've spent tons and tons of time grinding out. So, is it pay to win? Definitely not. Have Frontier kind of done what they said they would do and give you a starter ship for your career? Yeah, I'd call this thing a starter ship. It is definitely nothing special. No fuel scoop on it is a little bit of an odd decision, but nor is it absolutely god-awful. It is just kind of here. And I don't think it would be a horrible ship to kind of jumpstart your career in, but I do think that you would want to start upgrading it very, very quickly and eventually maybe turn it into another role ship and get something like a Fertile Lawrence, which we have a wing of 3, so I'm going to be making some money here. But yeah, I think that for what they're billing it as, it's not horrible. It's definitely not pay to win, so I think we can lay those fears to rest, although I had already pretty much laid them to rest at the end of my other video. So I can see new players definitely appreciating this option, and I can see those of us that have been playing for a while having absolutely no need to touch one of these ships. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you found the video useful or helpful, like and subscribe, and if you're here to the end to watch Time is Key on YouTube, so thank you very much. My name is Dinebot, and I will see you guys next time.